Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss and tell you what is the GMAT Data Sufficiency type of questions in Quant. This is not a regular type of Quant section that we are usually used to, where we are given a problem and then we figure out the value of x or something, or a word problem or a geometry problem. So this is a little bit different than that. And many people struggle to understand how to solve the data sufficiency type of problems in GMAT, what it really is, what it's asking for, especially when they're starting their journey. So if you are already accustomed to all the GMAT Quant section and you know what data sufficiency is, this video is not for you. And I'll be creating another video that's talking about the different data sufficiency strategies that will help you during the exam. So I'd suggest you can watch that video instead of this one. This is more for people who are just starting out. They don't know what a GMAT data sufficiency question type is, how to solve this, and the basic stuff basically. So without delaying, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with an example how the question really looks like. So I have produced a really basic question here just to give you an example. So for example, this is the question, and this is called a question stem, basically this part. So it's asking you what is the value of x, right? And then you see you are given two statements here. This is 1 and then this is 2, and basically these parts are called statement 1 and statement 2, and these are supposed to give you additional information to solve the question that has been asked to you here. So whatever question you are being asked here, this statement 1 and statement 2 is supposed to give you more information so that you can make a decision, or you can find out the value, or you can find out the answer to what is being asked. Okay, so again, this is the question stem. These are the two statements, and here from A, B, C, D, and E, from A to E, you see these are all your answer choices basically. So in GMAT data sufficiency question type, although it's asking you what is the value of x, it's not really requiring you to calculate the value of x. What it really needs from you is to determine if you have enough information to solve what's being asked here. Okay, so if it's asking you what is the value of x, it's basically given you two information, and it's asking you, okay, so here's statement 1, I give you some clue, and then here's the second clue. Now tell me, do you have enough information to answer what I asked you? That is, do you have enough information to give me the value of x? So that's what we are trying to do with the GMAT data sufficiency question types. We are not really solving the answer. We are just telling them, okay, I have enough information and I can solve based on what you provided me, and I can give you a definite answer to that. Okay, so let's look a little closely to all the different 5 answer choices. So this answer choice A, this is basically saying statement 1 is enough to answer what you asked me. So you asked me what is the value of x, and you told me x squared equals to 4. So if I think this piece of information alone is enough, then I can choose answer choice A. Okay, and if I choose answer choice A, that means this second piece of information doesn't allow me to solve this question. Okay, and then B is basically the opposite of A. So it's saying statement 2, this statement is alone to answer what you asked me, but statement 1 cannot answer what you asked me. Okay, and then when you go to C, it tells you if you give me both information 1 and 2, I can combine that 2 and come to my answer. Okay, and then if you choose D, that means if you give me statement 1, I can still answer your question. If you give me statement 2, I can still answer your question. So either statement alone is sufficient to answer what you asked me. And then finally, the last option and the most obvious one, if you still cannot answer what's being asked, you choose statement E. So which means I'll need more information to answer what you asked me. So let's move and then I have just paraphrased what I showed you in this previous question example and made it really simple to understand. So basically, option choice A means 1 is enough and 2 is not. Statement or answer choice B means 2 is enough, 1 is not. C means you need both statements to answer what you asked me. And then D means 1 is enough alone and 2 is also enough alone. So no matter which one you give me, I can answer your question. And the last option choice, that is E, it's pretty easy, and E means I need more information. So with whatever you gave me, I cannot answer what you asked me here. Okay, so let's see the different type of data sufficiency questions we see in the GMAT exam. So basically there's two major types. It's the first type is the yes no type, and the second type is the value question type. So what is an example of the yes no type of question in data sufficiency? For example, if it's asking you is x a positive integer, then you can answer it yes, x is, or no, x is not. So you can answer with a simple yes or no, and this type of binary answer choices, answer choice questions are basically yes no questions. And then there could be a second type where they ask you what is the value of x, and in those cases a simple yes or no doesn't answer. You have to know the exact value of x in order to say yeah, I have sufficient information, because if you cannot determine what's the exact value of x, then you cannot solve a value question. Okay, and finally, I tried to keep this video short, but I'll end with these facts about data sufficiency questions, which will give you some more insights about how to solve these questions. So you have to remember the statements can never contradict each other. So you'll never find a scenario where statement 1 is saying you, hey, x equals to 2, and then you see statement 2 and statement 2 says x equals to 5. You'll never have such a scenario. Both the statements will always be supporting each other, or I should say they can never contradict each other. Okay, and if you see if it ever contradicts, that means you have done something wrong basically. Okay, so that's the first part, and in my data sufficiency strategies, I'll tell you how to use this fact or this information to your favor and use that to solve data sufficiency questions. Okay, moving on. So the next part, I'm just basically saying, if you, like many people think, if for example for this question, if you're looking at statement 1, you can get x equals to either 2 or minus 2, right? So what I'm saying here is that's not enough information, because if it's a value question, you need to have one single definite answer. X equals to 2 or x equals to minus 2 is not an acceptable answer. So you basically have to tell, yes, I can tell for sure x equals to 2 or x equals to minus 2. Like in this case, if you look at statement 2, it's telling you x equals to minus 2. So that's the kind of definite answer you need. Okay, so if you're getting 2 answers, or if you're getting a range of answers, that's not enough. That just basically means you don't really have enough information to answer the question. And similarly for the yes no type of question, you have to find a definite yes for all the different scenarios. So for example, if they're asking you is x is positive, and then you find in some situation x is positive but in some other x is negative, that just means you don't really have enough information. So yeah, x is positive sometimes but x is negative sometimes. That's not enough. You need to find, or you need to have information that yeah, no matter what, x is always positive, or no matter what, x is always negative. Okay, so unless you have such kind of definite answer, you cannot say you know the answer. You just basically don't have enough information, and you'll need more information to determine if x is positive or negative. Okay, and finally, remember, time is of essence in GMAT. So we don't really have enough time, and don't try to calculate the answers if you don't really need to. If they're asking you what is the value of x, they're not expecting you to know what is the exact value of x. They just want to know if you have enough information to figure out the value of x. Okay, so they have provided you statement 1, they have provided you statement 2. You analyze those statements, you try to figure out what's the value, or if you can get to the value, but you don't really need to do all the fancy math like some multiplications, divisions, or even breaking down equations to figure out what's the value of x. If you can determine, yes, this is enough information for me to find the value of x, just go ahead and answer. You don't need to complete the whole calculation and find the exact value of x. You just need to know, all you need is enough information to answer to the question what is being asked. Okay, so that was the short intro on GMAT Data Sufficiency. I really hope that helped, and I totally understand this can be confusing for us because we are not really used to such kind of questions. We know what is the problem solving type of questions. That's the other type of GMAT Quant questions we see in the GMAT Quant section. Like it's basic word problems asking you if Sam went there in 2 hours and came back in 3 hours, how long it took Sam. So those we know, like how to solve those. Those are basically simple problem solving, but I know many people struggle initially with understanding how the data sufficiency question type works. So now let's try to solve the question that I have here. I know it's really simple, but it's just to give you an idea how to go about and solve this type of question. So first of all, it's asking what's the value of x, and then we see there's no additional information regarding x or its value in the question stem. So moving on, and we see this is statement 1, and we see x squared equals to 4, which means x could be the 2 or minus 2. But as I said, we need one single answer. We cannot have 2 or more answers. So that means this statement 1 is not sufficient enough for me to answer what they asked. So statement 1 and alone is not sufficient, so we can cross out A, and we can also cross out D, because in order for D to be true, 1 should have to be enough standalone as well. So we cross out A and D. So now let's see, what does this second statement tell us. It tells us x equals to minus 2. Okay, so this is a good piece of information, and this gives us the value of x basically. So we can say, yeah, 2 is enough and 1 is not. So our choice here should be statement 2 alone is sufficient, but statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question asked. So for this question, we will choose answer choice B. However, if we came to a situation where we see we need both 1 and 2, we would choose C, or if we see we don't really have enough information, we would have chosen E. Alright, I hope this video really helped you to get the basics down. I'll create one more video where I'll talk a little bit more about different GMAT data sufficiency strategies that will help you to understand this type of questions better, and also that will help you to solve this type of questions accurately. Thank you, and if you have any other video requests from me, feel free to leave comment down there, and I'll try my best to come up with another good lesson for you. Thank you and have a great day.